All right, guys. So this is going to be our first online Q&A webinar for the challenge. What we're going to do is every Monday at 7 p.m. we'll be here. Matt and myself will be here live to answer any questions. Typically, we want to do it at the beginning of the week, mainly so that that's when most people have the most questions. So literally any question you have, challenge related, diet related, pretty much anything at this point. If you have any questions or concerns about it, go ahead and ask in the chat and we will answer them live for you. I'll be reading Matt the questions to answer. So as long as you type it once, I will go through and I'll just read him the questions as we go through it. So as he answers them, we'll go on to the next question. Yeah, so go ahead and start firing away. If you have anything, we will be here till at least 7:30, and then once 7:30 hits, if there's no more questions to answer, we can be done at that point. But Matt, you got anything?
No, just make sure that we're answering any questions that you have. Again, I'll reference that there's not really stupid questions, so if there's something you're concerned about, not sure about, especially with it being day one of the challenge, this is all brand new to you. So I know over the last week we've answered your questions, but anything that you have questions, concerns about, whether you're doing it right, or you're counting it right, or whatever it may be, we want to make sure that you guys are successful. So make sure on the right hand side of your thing you should have a chat box. So type in your messages and we will answer those for you. If there's no messages, we're just going to sit here. So
All right. We got first one. So first question is suggestions for beverages other than just water to drink.
Yeah, so obviously you can have your coffee. The one thing that you can really do to flavor your stuff is to add stuff to your water. You can add, week one you can't really add fruit or any of that kind of stuff, but one thing that I really like to do lately is cucumber. So that's just a good way to flavor your water. Now, the problem with a lot of the flavored stuff is a lot of it, if it's going to be 0 sugar, 0 calorie, is you're going to be adding a lot of artificial sweeteners to your stuff. It's not an exact no-no, but be careful of what you're putting in there too. And some of the stuff, it may say it's 0 sugar, but when you have it in limited amounts, it's 0 sugar. But when you have it in lots of amounts, the food label says 0, but at the end of the day, you're still adding a bunch of sugar to your stuff. So, like black tea, coffee, what else you got, Aaron?
Green tea obviously is a good one, but the big thing for adding stuff is, some people will do LaCroix water. I personally think it tastes really bad, but some people just need the carbonation fix. Again, you don't want to have a lot of it, though. That's the big thing is, try to limit yourself to even using it as a reward at the end of the day. Ultimately, water plain is just your best choice. But again, for week one, the cucumbers, really good suggestion. The other thing that some people do is like with the Mio is, again, the problem with using like Mio or any flavored sweeteners like that is, again, there's hidden chemicals in there. But if you really want to look forward to something is once you've hit half your body weight in water, maybe take like a 20-ounce glass at the end of the night when you get home, throw a squirt of Mio in there or something and use it almost as like a reward to kind of get some flavor into your system. That's not going to hurt you. The problem is if you're drinking a gallon of water a day and you're flavoring every single thing that you drink with it, it's going to add up and eventually that's what we don't want. So
The other thing that we haven't talked about it, but some of our clients take branched chain amino acids, and they come in certain flavors. Some of them use that as a way to get some sweetness into their water as well. So that would be about the only option. There's not a ton of options week one. Obviously, week one's pretty strict. We're trying to make sure that sugar as low as possible, and that we're trying to get half our body weight in water. For some of you, this is the first time you've ever drank that much water and you're feeling like, oh my god, I promise you as it goes on you will crave having that much water because you'll love how you feel when you're hydrated.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Jewel, or do you have any other things related to that? Anything else? Otherwise, any other questions, guys, feel free to ask in the chat. So again, if you can't figure out how to type in the chats because you don't have an account, just up to the top, just go in and click sign up. All you have to do is you can either use Facebook or you can just click create an account. It takes, all you have to do is give them an email and make a password, and it's good. So that's really all you need to do. Otherwise, we will be hanging out staring at each other for the next 20 minutes, which is always fun.
It's a good thing you're so good looking.
Yeah, that's why I keep my hat on. Oh. What time did you get in from California?
10 a.m.
Can I eat the whole hard-boiled eggs or only egg whites?
You can have both. It depends on your macro. So if you're trying to get protein and fat, then you would eat a whole hard-boiled egg. If you're just trying to get protein without the fat, then you're going to eat the egg whites. Because remember, eggs, whole eggs count as both a protein and a fat on our plan because they're high in both. Where egg whites have no fats, so they just count as protein. So if you're struggling to get both your fats and your proteins in the morning, then go whole eggs. If you're just trying to get the protein, then go egg whites. But a lot of people are scared of whole eggs because they think that, you know, they're full of cholesterol and they're going to raise your cholesterol. And it's been proven over and over again that that's not necessarily the case. So if you like the whole eggs and you're trying to get protein and fat, eat the whole egg. If you're just trying to get protein, then just go with the egg whites.
Yep, so some people, like if you've ever seen Kylie, kind of some of her meals in the morning, she'll have like some in her little Ziploc bag, she'll have some like whole eggs, and then she'll actually have some like maybe some extra yolks if she's trying to get extra fat, or maybe she'll have some empty whites. So it really just depends on your macros, like Matt said. Typically, most people will need to do a little mixture of both, like have a few egg whites with their yolks because it's almost equal fat to protein ratio, so you do want to get that higher protein in there. The next question we have is, I ordered protein from the link that you provided, but I'm waiting for it to arrive. Are there any store-bought ones I can use to get by until the others arrive? Yes. GNC actually has, even Meijer I think now carries some decent ones. The last time I went there they had like the Arnold protein. But what you can do with your protein is typically what a lot of people will do is they kind of get through the beginning of the challenge and they go, oh, wow, this is a lot of whole food. And that's another reason that we tell you guys to have shakes is because it's a lot easier to pack, to prepare meals, and it's not as much eating. A lot of people are not used to eating 4, 5, 6 times a day. So being able to do a shake is a good way to kind of supplement it. So Cellucor, GNC actually does sell Cellucor, but if you go to GNC, I know the one in Holland, they're extremely used to our clients going in there. So the big thing you want to do though is make sure that it's a protein shake and not a meal replacement shake. So make sure that the net carbs are lower than 4 or 5. They should never really be higher than that. Because again, it adds up throughout the day, but we want to have at least probably a minimum of about 20 to 25 grams of protein per scoop. That's how you're going to get the best bang for your buck. Just remember that when you do get anything at any kind of brick and mortar store, it is going to be more expensive than doing it at an online warehouse. That's why we use what we use.
Yeah, just be careful too. Like Aaron said, 25 grams of protein, and it shouldn't have more than 4 to 5 grams of carbs per 25 grams of protein. Because sometimes the servings are really small and it says 12 grams of protein and then it says, 4, 5, 6 grams of carbs, and you're like, oh, it fits, but really doesn't, because now you have to have multiple scoops and multiple servings of it. By the time you're done, you're eating 12, 15, 20 grams of carbohydrates just to get your protein in. Which is the exact opposite of what we want. When we eat carbohydrates, we want to make sure that you're getting them from whole sources and not just from the indirect sources from your protein shakes.
Yep. Next question is, where can I find recipes for Cellucor shakes? So that's kind of a tricky question because ultimately the problem with finding recipes is most of the time they're going to have stuff that you probably can't have in them. For us, especially for week one, for our challenge purposes, stick to kind of the basics. What most people will do, especially if they kind of like a little bit of a milkshake type flavor, is if you do ice cubes, some unsweetened almond or coconut or cashew milk or whatever it is that you have, and then a scoop of protein into ice cubes and just blend it up. That will taste kind of have the consistency of a milkshake. Most people do that, and then if they want to throw peanut butter in for their fat, again, a really good way, or even heavy whipping cream, another good way to add fat. So that you're hitting your macros in the shake, so you don't have to eat anything extra. But as far as recipes, I'm hesitant to put anything like that out to you guys because I can't guarantee the macros on them are going to fit for our diet because of the way that our program is a little bit different than what most kind of the way that Cellucor works is it's more geared toward weightlifting. So they're a little bit higher carbs in most of their recipes that the chef Bob does. But if I find any, I will post those as I find them. Just be aware that for week one especially, just kind of keep it simple, stick to the basics, and don't really worry about that at this point. Next week, you can start to get a little bit more creative with stuff, but we'll go into that when we need to.
The other thing that with the shakes, make sure that you're adding your vegetables to them. So some simple things, they're like spinach and kale. You'll add that to them. It'll turn it green, but it doesn't change the taste. So pretty much overall, week one, since your goal is to get a lot of fat with your stuff, the only things really to make it taste a little bit better is going to be the almond milk or the coconut milk. You can also add cream as part of your fats, which then obviously if you're adding cream to it, it's going to make it taste creamy and taste really good. And then add whatever fat source you like. Most people, if you're a chocolate and peanut butter type person, doing a chocolate protein base added with some peanut butter tastes really, really well. So it's a matter of preference too. We could give you a bunch of recipes, but everyone has a different preference. So choose the food you enjoy and then just make it hit your macros, and then you'll be looking forward to your shakes. I know people that have been with me for like 2 years and they still drink the same shakes that they've been drinking since day one, just because they love them so much and they look forward throughout the day.
Yeah. So next question we got for you, Matt. How many times a week do you recommend coming to your gym to work out? I plan on running on off days of the gym and taking one rest day a week.
So a lot of that is a matter of what level of condition are you coming into our gym. So if you haven't worked out and your activity is I've been sitting on a couch for the last 5 years, coming into our workouts is going to be pretty intense, and it's going to be a lot of work on your body. So typically week one, I recommend no more than 3 days per week if you're just starting out and this is, you're getting back into a fitness routine. 3 days a week. I'm sure tomorrow you'll wake up and go, oh my gosh, I'm really sore. And that's fine. On your days off, for those that this is just walking for 15-20 minutes on your days off to keep moving. So you're going to feel like, oh, I just want to sit down, I'm so sore, but the best thing you can do is keep walking. Now if you were already in shape prior to coming to our gym and you want to accelerate results, then doing the running on the days off is more than fine. So typically by the end, most of our challengers are doing 4 to 5 workouts towards the end, but we've had clients that have lost 15, 20, 25 pounds just coming 3 days a week and being really super diligent with their nutrition. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna work out more and then I can relax on my diet a little bit, and you're gonna get the most bang for your buck concentrating on your diet. You don't necessarily have to work out every single day. And that's kind of what society, has trained us to do, that we need to work out 6-7 days a week in order to get results, and it's not true. If you would focus a ton of your energy on the nutrition, you don't need to work out as much. So it's going to be individually dependent based on your conditioning levels and what your body can handle. So if you're brand new, I would not recommend more than 3 days a week. Week 1, 2, listen to your body. Week 1, we're depleting. So not only is it, hey, we're back to the gym, but it's also, week 1's a big shock on the body diet-wise. So listen to your body week 1. If you really feel like you get to Thursday and you're just, I have no energy, I don't think, listen to your body. Don't come to the gym. It's fine. The diet's going to do all the work. As your conditioning gets better and you want to accelerate your results, then feel free to pick up the exercise.
All right. Next question: what does the unsweetened almond milk count as when adding to the shakes? It confuses me.
That counts as fat. That's it. So if you look at the ingredients in unsweetened almond milk, it says 0 carbs. There's trace amounts of carbs, and I think there's 1 or 0 grams of protein, and then it's about 2 grams of fat. So per 8-ounce serving, typically it depends on the brands. You're going to get 2 to 3 direct sources of fat. So we're saying that it counts as a fat source.
Yep. Next question: can we use the peanut butter powder the first week? What does it count as?
No, peanut butter powder is a carb. So if you look actually on the food list, it shows peanut butter powder under the carbohydrate sources. So per, I think it's 2 tablespoons as a serving, it's like 6 or 7 grams of carbohydrates. Week 1, you do not want to utilize that because we're trying to really keep the direct sources of carbs as low as possible to really transition our body into a fat burning state. So we want to limit that as much as possible. Week 2 and moving forward, on the days you can have carbs, you can utilize it and count it towards your carb sources.
What is peanut butter powder? Peanut butter powder is just, it's like PB2. You can find it typically local grocery stores, but all it is they pretty much just suck the fat out of peanut butter is pretty much all it is. Go ahead.
It ends up being, what they do is they grind up the peanuts, they extract the fat. So you get like the peanut butter taste without the fat that's normally in peanut butter. So on the days that you're trying to keep fat as low as possible, but you want that peanut butter taste, you can add it to shakes. You can add water to it and it'll make like a peanut butter paste. Everyone does something a little bit different with it. So it's really utilized to get that peanut butter taste without all the extra calories and fat. So that's pretty much what peanut butter powder is.
Yep. Let's see. It looks like we're caught up right now. So, yeah, guys, we got about 10 more minutes that we'll hang out. If you have any other questions, feel free. We'll stay as long as we need to. Like we said, that's not a big deal. We're here to make sure that we can answer your questions for you. You just got to let us know what they are. Just type them in the chat, and we'll answer for them. Are we allowed to eat salsa this week? That's a good one.
Yeah, you guys can eat salsa this week. There is going to be carbohydrates in salsa, so make sure you're utilizing just enough as flavor, but don't be drowning your food in the salsa. So you really don't have to count the salsa, which is great, but make sure when you're picking salsas, you're picking, pretty much no added sugar. There's some salsa that, only has 1 to 2 grams of carbs per serving, and a serving of salsa goes a long way. And then there's some that load it up with sugar, which is part of why it tastes so good. You need to really try to avoid during week 1. So just use enough to get the flavor, but don't really drown your food in the salsa.
Yeah. Like you said, typically stay away from fruit salsas. Most fruit salsas are loaded with sugar. I know typically like Taco Bell salsa actually surprisingly has really low sugar for the most part. I know Tostitos, I'm trying to think of some other good ones that I know off the top of my head. What's the one? Old El Paso, I think is the one that I currently have.
And then a lot of people with salsa leads into seasoning, like taco seasonings. You really should avoid store-bought taco seasonings. If you there's quite a few good recipes on taco seasonings that are homemade and have 0 sugar, because when you look at the packet of a taco seasoning packet, it usually says like 2 to 3, and then you look at how many servings it actually has. It's ranges from like 6 to 12. So at the end of the day, you're adding basically, 25, 30 grams of straight sugar to your meat. It's like almost taking a can of Coca-Cola and just dumping it all over your meat. You would never do that, right? So, but essentially, it's the same thing. So make sure when you're looking at seasoning packets to read the full food label. A lot of people just go, "Oh, it only has blah 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 inside of it." They don't look at that it has so many servings of that.
I am correct in that we get a cheat day every Sunday. Partially correct.
You are partially correct, yeah. So this Sunday is cheat day. Well, it's a cheat meal, so not all day. You're going to have one cheat meal at the end of the day. It should be your last meal of the day. And then the rest of the challenge, your cheats are going to come on Saturday. The reason why it's on Sunday week 1 is because we want to maximum going without the carbohydrates. 7 days works best and it is optimal. And then I see your other question, and I'll answer that in a second. So that works best. Saturdays, the rest of the challenge, the reason why it's on Saturday is most people are very social on Saturdays. They're going to different events. They have different things going on. So Saturday, the idea of having to have all your meals prepped and all that kind of stuff just doesn't work well for people on Saturday. So typically Saturday night, the rest of the challenge is when you're going to have your cheat meal. And it's a meal, so don't get started eating pancakes early in the morning. And the reason why we do it at the end of the day is because if you cheat early throughout the day, you're going to crave crappy food the rest of the day because now we've jacked up our insulin levels, we're messing with our sugar levels, and all day you're going to crave crappy carbohydrates. But if you save it for the end of the day, you get a nice meal, and then eventually you go to bed, and then you get started right away the next day.
Yeah, and going off that, can I move my cheat day on Friday instead of Sunday? Typically, the answer for week 1 is no. The reason I say that is ultimately what we want you to do is, like Matt said, get a full 7 days of that deplete in. So week 1, again, we tend to be a lot more strict. Now, starting week 2 through 6, again, we typically put it on Saturday because of people going out and doing social things. But the big thing is ultimately, are you going to have to make some sacrifices in order to get to where you want to be? Yes. Does it mean that you may have to go out? The problem that most people have is they correlate going out and food with entertainment. And ultimately, we don't need to eat to entertain ourselves. We need to eat to get to where we want to be. So find other ways at events to kind of get your mind off of the food. Like typically, I know in the fall for me especially, football kind of means pizza and whatever. But I find that if I stay away from that and focus on the other aspects like being social or other things, I don't worry about the food so much as long as I know I have my meals prepped and I'm ready to go. So again, we would prefer you not to change the cheat day up on it because again, the way that we do the game plans every week too is kind of correlating to work you up to that cheat meal.
Yep, so everything with the game plan is to maximize your results over the 6 weeks. On the other hand, we want you to make this more of a lifestyle moving forward too. So if you find that you're super social on Friday evenings and you don't really care to have your cheat on Saturday or Sunday and moving forward that Friday is going to be ideal for you, then let's work that in. But week 1, it's super imperative that you move your cheat meal to Sunday and follow that all the way through, and then we can work on ways to move it to Friday if that's what you see is your ideal. Now, knowing that, week 2, if you move your cheat till Friday, since our cheat's on Sunday, that's literally 4 days before you're cheating again. In week 2, you're not going to see great results, but moving forward, then you'll be on schedule just like everybody else will. So just know that week 2, you're probably not going to see the greatest results since you're cheating so close together.
What is the best thing to order if going out to eat?
All right, so our clients that are the most successful in our plan eat out the least. Now, when eating out, you really need to come up with a game plan. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm super hungry. Let's go to Applebee's, or let's run to Panera or whatever. Um, when you're eating out, it should be planned. It should be part of your day. It shouldn't be, oh, I didn't prep any food. I need to go find something to eat. Most likely, you're not going to make great decisions. Now, with that, all restaurants will serve you, protein and veggies is going to be your go-to. You don't have to worry too much about the fat, especially if it's a deplete day and your fats are high. So you can go there, you could get a grilled steak, a lean grilled steak like a sirloin. You could get a chicken breast. And then usually I tell them to double up on the veggies. And obviously you're not going to get any starch or bread or any of that kind of stuff on the side. What's great about most restaurants is you can go look at the menu ahead of time. So you can go there and see, what's in their chicken breast and all that kind of stuff. So um, don't just walk in there not knowing what you're going to eat. You should walk in there knowing what you're going to have and stick to that. Don't even get a menu. When I do well at a restaurant, I don't even look at the menu. I just ask for what I want. Because as soon as you start looking at a menu, you start telling yourself, oh, why you deserve whatever, and how good you've been, and you deserve this food, and oh, it's not going to take me off track too much if I eat this, and the head games start playing, and then you end up making a poor decision. So go in there right away and pick what you know you should have. So typically a lean source of protein, and the cooks have it. The back, they have the food, and they don't mind doing it. A lot of people just don't like asking for it, and they use that as an excuse why they ordered crap food. Anyways, oh, I was at a restaurant and they didn't have anything. Most of the time, that's not true. So ask your server, can I get a grilled chicken breast? Can I get a grilled steak? And most of the time, they're going to say yes, and then just load up on the veggies. Typically, the veggies have some butter and all that kind of stuff that makes them taste better. But since you're not really adding any fat to it, that would be your added fat, and I wouldn't worry about it, and load up on those veggies.
Is there an energy drink we can have? This is right up your alley.
Typically, no, and the reason why, again, it's the artificial sweeteners. It's the same thing as, hey, can we add can we add something to our water to flavor it, make it taste better so we can get our water in? If you can go without the energy drinks, I that. Now there are some people that like pre-workout will take a pre-workout supplement like C4 or whatever, which is fine. But really you don't need it, especially if you're just starting with working out. Now, if you're a person that's been slamming energy drinks for a long time and going from like 3 or 4 of those to we're saying, hey, you can't have an energy drink, then obviously that's probably not doable. You're probably not, who's ever around you probably is not going to want to deal with you. So with that, then go as low carb as humanly possible with your energy drink, but really try to limit it to no more than 2. But if you can get by with 1 until you can wean yourself off, that would be the ideal situation.
All right. Is the first week the only no carb, and then we move to low carb for the rest of the 6 weeks?
The game plan's going to change. So weeks 2 and 3 are going to be low carb. So you really get in a good routine with that. Your eating habits should be pretty much the same every single day. And then we start manipulating the game plan. So your body's never going to get used to what we're doing, and we're going to manipulate it to burn the most amount of fat as humanly possible. We're going to keep carbs in to keep your metabolism elevated, and there'll be some days that we do deplete days, and the deplete minus 20 and 30. So as we prime your body to utilize fats on the days that we decrease fat, your body is going to be searching for a fat fuel source, and since you're not going to have as much dietary fat, it's going to be forced to burn its own body fat. So the game plan will change, and we manipulate it to maximize your results over the 6 weeks.
All right. Is Parmesan cheese allowed?
Yes, Parmesan cheese is allowed.
Yay! All right. Next question. We had our original measurements done before we started. Do we turn those in this Friday, then remeasure on Saturday, and send that info in the next Friday? No.
No. All right, so your initial measurements are done. They should have been done before Monday. And then your first, so those are your starting measurements. And then week one's measurements will be Fridays. And then you're going to take them every Friday moving forward. So, except for your last one, which will be taken on the last Saturday of the challenge. So every Friday is a progress day. So you're going to measure yourself, you're going to weigh yourself, you're going to do all those things on Friday in the morning. You're going to submit your progress reports by noon on Friday, so that we can get those back to you as soon as we can. So every Friday is a progress day. You don't have to do it multiple days throughout the week.
No, as a matter of fact, I would recommend not doing it multiple days throughout the week. Stick to that consistent time every week where you do your stuff, because you're just going to play mind games with yourself if you don't.
And the thing to remember now that you're doing it on Fridays, Saturdays are going to be your best days from a weight standpoint. So we get some people that can be upset that their weight wasn't as low as they thought it would be on Friday, but then they get on the scale on Saturday and they're at where they thought they were going to be, because Saturday tends to make a full week on our plan, and Friday's a day early. But in order for us to get back to you as soon as possible, we have to get the progress reports to us on Friday, or else you're going to be waiting till Monday. And if we have to make any changes, it makes it really hard for you to get them in time to go shopping, make your meal plan, and be successful come on Monday.
Yep. All right. Next one, I love this one. Holy smokes, this is a ton of food. Can we reduce amounts if we keep with the protein/fat rules? I can't imagine eating one more full meal today, and I've only gotten 3 in.
Okay, so sounds like you're eating. Is that?
Sorry, what?
Type how many meals a day that you're eating down below, if you can.
Well, if he's got one more and he's only had 3, that would be 4 meals.
All right, so 4 meals. Obviously, with the 4 meals, you're eating bigger meals too. So that's one thing to remember. If you're really struggling to get 4 bigger meals, then if you have time in your day, break it down to 5 and 6. So then you're getting 5 or 6 smaller meals. But here's what we don't want. We don't want you forming bad habits that you're just stuffing yourself, because we told you have to eat that much food. So eat until satisfied. Don't eat until stuffed, because that's just teaching you bad habits moving forward. So typically, guys, for the most part, they're always saying they can't eat all the food, and that's because most of you are used to eating crap food. Now the calories you're used to eat are way more because it's more calorie dense. Where now, our food is now more nutrient dense. So it takes way more food to get the amount of calories that you need. So then it feels like, oh my gosh, I'm eating so much food, because it's taking up so much volume in your stomach. Now, as the program goes on, your metabolism is going to pick up, and it's not going to feel like as much food. So just eat what you can. Start with your protein. Make sure you're getting your proteins in. Getting your fats in and your veggies in. But if you can't eat it all, don't eat it all. Don't feel like you have to gorge yourself and stuff yourself every single time you eat. Eat until satisfied. Yep. That will go a long way with you making it a habit that you can keep on after the 6 weeks is over.
And on that too, there are easier ways to do it too. So I don't know what you're eating exactly, but a lot of people will find that sticking with liquid fats tends to be easier to get other calories in and their food in, because if you're drizzling olive oil on something, it takes there's a lot less volume of things that you have to eat. Instead of loading up like 60 grams of cheese onto your piece of chicken, if you drizzle a tablespoon and a half of olive oil, you're almost getting the same amount of fat, right? So using liquid fats like olive oil, coconut oil, stuff like that tends to make it easier. That's also another reason, though, that we want you to, or that we recommend that you use protein shakes, because again, same thing that Matt said, when we're eating clean food, you're amazed at how much volume of food that you're actually eating. So the protein shakes allow you to not have to eat so many whole food meals. Again, we don't want you to just go overboard on the shakes, because whole food's always better, but it does allow you to still get those nutrients in without feeling like you're stuffing yourself as well.
And then with the protein too, especially guys, we've actually reduced the protein throughout the challenges that we've done, because we found that you really struggle to get the amount of protein that we recommend. So we've actually reduced it. If you're still struggling to get that amount of protein in, then that's where at week 1 I would look to reduce your protein first and not your fats. It's really important that the fats are there because that's going to help accelerate your body to start really utilizing fat as an energy source.
All right. Next question. Does your body adjust to the large amounts of water? Needless to say, I was not the most productive at work today. First question would be, how productive are you normally at work? Yeah, your body will adjust to it for the most part. Your body's going to adjust to anything, but the big thing with the water is, again, we want to keep the system hydrated and flushed out. So when we're dehydrated, our body sends the same signal to our brain that we're hungry. So ultimately, the water keeps us fuller, but also it's going to make our organs and our systems and our brain and everything works better when we're hydrated. So the reason that we want water is both of those reasons. So
our body, from a physiological standpoint, is designed to adapt to whatever environment it's in. That's why we're still around as a species, because we're able to adapt. So yes, your body is going to increase or decrease hormones based on the amount of water that you're taking in, and your body will get used to it. So you're not going to be running to the bathroom all the time. So those who chronically are dehydrated, then drink a bunch of water, your system's not used to it, so it's going to filter it. Now, if you're drinking water all the time, it's not going to have to do that. So your body will adapt and change its hormone levels to adapt to the new water intake, and you'll find yourself using the bathroom less and less and less. But you're going to find that the more water you drink, the better you're going to feel. And most likely, you're going to feel better and concentrate, and you're probably going to be more productive at work because now that you're performing so much better.
all right, and we are actually caught up on questions. It is 7:38, so if you have questions, get them in now. We'll wait about 2-3 more minutes. If we don't get any more questions, we can shut it down for the evening. But again, it's up to you guys. We will be here as long as we need to, so make sure you're throwing your questions out now. While we do have a break, what I do want to ask you guys to do is, if you notice down on the bottom lower left-hand portion of your screen, there's a little follow button. And if you click that, you can actually have it send you an email notification every time we go live. So we'll announce it on Facebook, but if you forget, it'll actually shoot you an email that should pop up as soon as we go live every Monday. And that way you can come and make sure that you remember to come and ask your questions or hang out and get the information. I will try to upload these to our Facebook page and to YouTube for you guys, so that if you ever miss any, you can come back. But ultimately, we want to be able to answer as many questions as we can. Okay, no problem. Yeah, like I said, we'll give it another 1.5, 2 minutes until you guys, if you get any other questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, we got to let Papa Bear get back to sleep over there.
Whatever. Awake now. I'm never taking a red-eye flight ever in my life again.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible.
The flight left out of California at 10:45.
Oh, so
got into Chicago at 4 a.m.
Are limes or lemons in water allowed?
Week 1, try to avoid it. Like I said, the cucumbers are really good to give it that flavor, and you're getting some vegetable intake from that. Now, limes and lemons in your water, especially lemons, are really great liver detoxificator. So detoxifies your liver and actually helps with fat burning. But week 1, obviously you're going to start getting the direct sources of carbs from that. So if you can avoid it week 1, please do so. Week 2, not as big of a deal. The amount of carbs you're getting from adding lemons and limes in your water is not a ton. And it adds some flavor to it. But if you can avoid it until week 2, that's really going to maximize your results.
I hear Bella. Any other questions?
What is questions?
Questions. Just like that. You said it right. See? You got it.
Been hanging out with Canadians all weekend. Maybe that. Questions.
Ugh, that sounds terrible. All right. Well, if that's it, again, thanks everybody who came out to ask questions and hang out. Hopefully, you found it informative. Again, next week we will be adding carbs back in. So don't worry about that this week, but next week, bring your questions and stuff like that. In the meantime, between now and next week, if you have something, again, use the Facebook group. The Facebook group is such an awesome resource. So I know there were still a few people who were, really getting overwhelmed with the meal planning a little bit. So I know that a few people have already posted their sample meal plans. The big thing is just post it in the group. So ultimately, it's going to make not only your life easier, but there's a lot of people who probably have the same question that you do. You have no idea how many people that we get the same exact question from. They're just, they just feel shy about asking, and ultimately you're going to be more successful the more that you help everybody else. So you'll notice that in our community group, everybody's there to help everybody else. That is the reason that we have it. So that the sole goal is that you have a place where everybody's going through the same struggles, everybody's trying to do the same thing, and moving forward, that's what this group is all about. So please use it for what it is. Matt, anything else before we take off?
No, guys, it's day one. Just get through the week. Make sure that you're getting as much of your food as possible. The water is vitally important, and so is getting your veggies in. So pretty much the only direct sources of carbohydrates you're getting in week one is your vegetables. Those vegetables are going to make you feel better. They're going to help your brain function a little bit better. And overall help stabilize your blood sugar. So make sure you're getting your vegetable intake in, make sure you're getting your water intake in, and just take it one day at a time. Sunday's going to be here before you know it. We reintroduced the carbohydrates back in week 2. You're going to feel so much better. But what's great is week 1 sets you up that you're going to have so much more energy during week 2. So just survive the week, do the best you can, make sure your meals are ready to go, and keep kicking butt.
See you next week.